When I looked across Wilder, it was a look of absolutely maniacal hatred, and you're going to get it, and it's coming your way.
Yeah.
When I looked at Fury, look across the ring at Usyk, I saw none of that.
Having 3 people in the corner, all screaming instructions,
Yeah.
was a big, big problem. Lennox Lewis went straight back into the lion's den. He has to do that, Tyson Fury, if he wants to be remembered as an all-time great.
I'm not able to make this
I thought he
fight.
said just going.
No, I would love to, but I've got other pressing engagements.
What
so
happened?
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Something I'm really looking forward to.
140 is the undoing for victory for Josh Taylor. Jack Catterall wins on points.
Welcome to Talk Boxing with Simon Jordan and Spencer Oliver. Spencer, nice to see you.
Simon?
Where shall we begin this week's show?
I think it's quite simple, isn't it? Tyson Fury.
Biggest fights of recent times. Undisputed championship. I was fortunate enough to go to see both fights with Lennox Lewis in 1999 in Madison Square Garden and Thomas and Mack for the rematch, which obviously Lennox won. But this is the biggest fight of this century, as Frank Warren billed it. And it was some fight, wasn't it?
It really was. It exceeded any expectations that we thought it was going to be.
Yep.
I mean, we was on the show last week saying that and not just us, I think many people felt the same, that it was going to be a chess match for 6 rounds or so. And at some point, someone would roll the dice and they would go for it. We did think it would catch light, but no one expected it. No one expected the tactics from Oleksandr Usyk. I think that was surprising. I think maybe even surprised Tyson Fury as well. He was the hunter straight away, which surprised me because I thought he would go out there, feel his way into the fight, but he started very, very fast and he picked up a good lead. He found the range with that left cross through the middle. He was tapping with a jab. He was setting the traps with a jab. Left crosses through the middle, hooks over the top, and he was getting success. For me, I think he was a worthy winner. I think it was quite a conclusive victory, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
It was a fight where you looked at the first 4 rounds and I go, Oleksandr Usyk is nicking these rounds. Yeah, Tyson Fury was being competitive in those rounds, but Usyk was nicking the rounds. He was winning the rounds. Then the round 5 came, landing the big uppercut Usyk, and Tyson Fury, and that sort of turned things around a little bit. Fury showed that he's got a great boxing brain. He used that
Which we knew
adaptability.
anyway.
We knew anyway, but he started pushing forward the way he should have been doing from the opening bell, in my eyes. I think tactically that was the only way he was going to win the fight anyway, was by bullying him, pushing forward, and he started doing that, and he had success in doing that. But what Oleksandr proved to us all, and the big question marks surrounding, his guts, his courage when it gets tough, and whether he can bite down on the gum shield, and whether he looks for excuses and ways out. I think he answered all those questions because those middle rounds where he got caught a lot, he sort of carried on, he stuck to the game plan, didn't lose his shape. And after round 8, that round 9, which we'll get into in a minute, but from round 9 onwards, he kicked on, he turned the screw, and he proved what a great champion he is.
What did you make of Fury in the build-up? Go back a second before we start analysing all the different aspects of it. But Fury, in the last 2 moments that we saw him, in the presser, where he was monosyllabic, and in the weigh-in, where he operated in a certain way. He didn't want to look at Usyk in the presser, and then he wanted to get involved in a little bit of pushing and shoving. And then you've got this Fury coming into the ring. And what went with that, in terms of it was a bit more show business, it was a bit more rah-rah, than it seemed to be focused. And one of the things I took away, and I know I'm asking you, but I'm just going to lay this down as a marker.
Yeah.
When I saw Fury fight Wilder, I saw somebody go into that ring and stare across the ring at his opponent with really bad intentions, with real menace. And there was almost like a darkness that came across Fury's eyes when he was looking across at Wilder, saying to Wilder, "You're going to get it. You're going to get it." And I didn't see any of that. And the moment I saw that from Fury, it made me feel, I don't know where he is in this fight and where his motivations are. Did you see any of that? Or is it just me sort of overanalyzing it?
See, that's what we talk a lot on this show about, the psychological side of things and where fights are won and lost, etc. And you're reading right into that, because I think that Fury was trying everything he could to get inside the head of Oleksandr Usyk. Usyk has since talked about that and said, listen, I know what he does. I know that he tries to win the fight or gets a good head start on the fight in the build-up to fights, at the press conference, at the weigh-in, where he tries to niggle away and try and change the game plan of his opponent. And it didn't work. And I think that Fury recognised that it wasn't working, and actually it had a reverse effect. I think it was like reverse psychology, because it sort of went round to bite him again, Fury, because I think that he then recognised he wasn't getting at Oleksandr Usyk, and it seemed to be getting to him that it didn't get to him. And I think that's where it all was. Looking at the ring walk, when you get to the ring walk, and like you say, that focus, that tunnel vision that wasn't there. I think it's because maybe that...
Well, that menace.
Yeah.
That dark menace that he seemed to exhibit against Wilder didn't seem to be there.
Because I think that... Because I truly believe that he knew his back was up against the wall with Wilder. Wilder was that guy that could take you out of that one single shot.
His back was up against
yeah, but he knew his back was up against the wall with Usyk. But I truly believe that he had that inner confidence that would say, listen, I'm going to go in there, do my stuff, and it's going to be enough. And if it ain't, I'm going to tie him up. I'm going to do this. I truly believe that maybe it wasn't the same feeling as it was when he went in against Wilder. You know, he talked about it in the build-up as well, where he was saying, look, it's a totally different approach, because I'm not worried about taking a shot off this guy. But what he miscalculated was the volume of punches, the accuracy that was coming from Oleksandr Usyk, and that has the effect, and that's what had the effect in round 9. So I think it was a misjudgment from Tyson Fury, not an underestimation, but just a misjudgment. And tactically, I believe he got it wrong. And also having 3 people in the corner, all screaming instructions, was a big problem.
Do you think that Tyson, despite all the bravado and braggadocio that he exhibits, is part and parcel of his shtick, and sometimes you like it and sometimes you don't, because it depends how he delivers it. Recently he's delivered it in a fashion which a lot of people haven't liked.
Yeah.
Right? But do you think he really believed in himself? Because a lot of people are suggesting, I heard Carl Froch saying it this morning, that there was a lack of confidence from Fury in that fight.
I don't think there's a lack of confidence. I feel that we may be at the stage
real
of
confidence, not veneer confidence. The
yeah,
real
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't believe that at all. I just think that when a fighter gets to a certain stage of his career, maybe a lack of hunger is what maybe is what was missing. Yeah,
for a legacy-defining fight.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, Simon, that he's been around a long time, and yeah, it was the biggest fight, and it is the undisputed, and that's where the motivation comes from. Motivation, hunger, two totally different things. Whereas I say, I believe that he felt that there was confidence within himself where he say, listen, if something's not working for me here, I know I'm going to have it. I'll be able to do this guy because I've got the size, and I think that the size is going to play a huge part in this, where I'm going to be able to bully him. We've seen weaknesses in Oleksandr Usyk in the past, you know, with the, let's say, the Daniel Dubois thing with that body shot. Was it low? Was it not low? And if it wasn't low, then was he just looking for, do you know what I mean? Is he uncomfortable when he gets roughed up a little bit? And I think that Fury thought that that was a big part of it, but I think he was surprised actually the strength and of Oleksandr Usyk, the way that the manner he controlled that fight.
Do you think Usyk, with, I mean, obviously he started in a fashion that wasn't priced into people's thinking that he was going to jump on Fury and take the fight to him very early. Do you think that part of that was that he wanted to make Fury work very hard, make him work hard, because he had a feeling that as we go down the stretch in this fight, that Fury would tire.
Yeah.
And whilst we saw Fury come back into the fight, from rounds 3 onwards, you know, he looked good.
Yeah.
He looked good, and all of a sudden, Usyk started to look a bit disheartened. We started to see Usyk look in a way that we haven't seen him look too often. He looked a bit uncomfortable, and the fight looked like it was being taken away from him.
Yeah.
But the levels that he made Fury work at, Fury had to work hard in this fight, didn't he? All the time, even when he was on top and getting on top and starting to look like he was taking the fight away from Usyk, and we were starting to see, oh, this is what we thought was potentially going to happen if a good big one fights a good small one. Is it because Usyk made him work so hard that ultimately when you start to get into the 8th and 9th round, there's a level of fatigue that's beginning to set in in Fury, and then bang, he gets his nose broken or he gets his nose smashed in, he gets distracted, and then you've got the 9th round. Yeah,
I mean, look, there is a part of that, but I think for Tyson Fury, Oleksandr Usyk, with the way that the fight started, Tyson Fury, that he didn't expect that. So now he's got to adjust all this in his own head. I think that for Oleksandr Usyk, it was always about making Fury work hard, you know, because he's got a great engine and he always kicks on in the last quarter of the fight. So he was always going to try and do that, make Tyson Fury work, whether he was coming forward or whether he was on the back foot. But what Usyk done and what
But he did say that, Usyk, I mean, sorry to cut across you.
Yeah.
He did talk about not so much being a mosquito, as me paraphrasing it, but he said he was going to be all over Fury. That's what he was going to do.
Yeah.
He was never going to leave him alone, I think was the expression.
Yeah, but what, prior to the fight?
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, of course. But then that again, it's just mind games. Like, fighters don't listen to what other fighters are saying. When another fighter says...
But when the fighter's doing it, precisely what he said
he was but then you're in the moment. That's what I'm saying. And then Fury's now going, right, now I've got to adjust. And to his credit, He actually done that after 4 rounds. That went Usyk's way. He went, right, now I've got to change things around here. This fight is slipping away from me, and he done that. He showed that he had that capability, and he put it on Usyk, hit him with that uppercut, and started turning things around. Started switching the attacks to the body, and started getting good success. But what Usyk done and what he proved was, and why he'll go down as one of the all-time greats, not just a modern-day great, and we can get into that in a bit as well, but why he'll fall into that category is because what he showed was when the chips were against him and the fight was slipping away, again, he worked it out and he adapted and he took the fight and took the fight away from Fury again. This was all about boxing IQs and whatnot, and what he showed us was that Oleksandr Usyk's was better than Tyson Fury's. Tyson Fury's a great thinking fighter, but what Usyk showed us there was he's going to go down as one of the all-time greats. He has to on that performance.
What did you think of the knockdown? I mean, the ropes held him up, and that lends itself to the referee intervening and doing a standing count. Yeah. Right? I mean, lots of people were saying that the referee potentially stopped Fury getting knocked out by A, intervening and doing a standing count, rather than allowing Oleksandr Usyk to continue the work that he was doing. Yeah. B, there was a time delay that enabled Fury to get himself together a little bit.
15 seconds, exactly. 15, 16 seconds, the time delay was from the start of the count to when they boxed again. I think that the Fury was very fortunate the referee intervened when he did, because Oleksandr Usyk was coming forward out that southpaw stance with that left hand cocked, and he was just about to let that other shot go. Fury was all over the place, disorientated, totally gone. That last shot landed, because when he hit them ropes, he was actually not touching down. Yeah. If that last shot landed, he would not be coming out for the 10th round. It was over. Luckily, the bell rang when it done. But what Tyson Fury showed was those amazing powers of recovery. Simon, no one expected. Even then, I go, listen, I know Fury's been great in the past. You go, but the state he went back to that corner, you go, he's not going to get off here because Oleksandr Usyk is going to jump straight on him, which he did in the 10th round. But Tyson Fury, to his credit, you've got to show the man respect because he went out there and he pushed on. Although Usyk won the 10th round, Fury, he got his shape back together. It surprised me a lot because even Tyson Fury, I didn't think was going to recover from that, because that was a heavy bit of punishment in that 9th round. And fortunately, look, the referee intervened. He's got to make a decision, a split-second decision. He'd done that. So whether people are talking about the controversy of should it have been allowed to continue, Tyson didn't touch down, the referee done his job, and that was the job. So you can't argue about that. It's nothing to do with Tyson Fury or Oleksandr Usyk. But Fury showed what a great champion he is by getting himself back together and continuing the fight. The showboating at the end, you go like, I understand what all that was about. He's trying to catch the judge's eye, trying to convince people that actually he's won the fight. But if I'm honest, it was a fight that I scored 116, 112, including the knockdown in favour of Oleksandr Usyk. I thought it was quite a conclusive victory. I think Tyson Fury done himself credit and done himself proud, but I think tactically he got it all wrong and underestimated Oleksandr Usyk.
You say that, but do you think, looking at Fury, without taking anything away from Oleksandr Usyk, do you think we got the best version of Fury in that fight?
I think the best version of today's Tyson Fury, yes. Definitely.
Because the debate from all of us, because you and I picked Fury, didn't we? Yeah. And the more that we spoke, the more people were I watched the panel on Sky, pretty much all of them picked Usyk, didn't they? Yeah. And the orthodoxy and the conventional thinking was going Usyk, which surprised me because on one hand you've got people trotting out the mantra, a good big one will always beat a good little one.
Well, Lennox said that when I interviewed Lennox,
But there was always this underlying observation that people felt that Usyk was the person that was going to win this fight. So you're in the camp that, irrespective of the observation that Usyk was done very well, it was the best version of Tyson Fury as he sits now.
I think so, yeah.
And this is a byproduct of Fury and the fights he's had recently, the life that he leads, the fact that he didn't perform well against Ngannou. All of these things have brought us to a point where Oleksandr Usyk, or do you say, given what I've seen, the best version of Oleksandr Usyk would still beat the best version of Tyson Fury?
No, I think that tactics play a huge part of it, and I think that when you let a certain fighter get into any sort of rhythm or whatever, and I know Tyson Fury come back in those middle rounds and Usyk took it away from him again, but I just think that, look, if they went at it again, it's not a foregone conclusion that Oleksandr Usyk wins that fight. Right. I think that if Tyson Fury approaches it different and takes a different stance on the fight, then yeah, he could win the fight. I do truly believe that. Do I think that will happen if they go again in October? I'm not sure. I think you'd have to go, an overwhelming favourite would be Oleksandr Usyk, but I wouldn't write Tyson off. I wouldn't be surprised if he pulled off, if he reversed that. You know, I think that for Tyson Fury as well, I think the stage of his career is at with the legacies he's trying to create right now, modern day eras and everything else. You look
he's lost his legacy, he's lost the opportunity, the ultimate legacy to be undisputed. That's gone now.
That's the undisputed's gone. But what I'm saying is now he can still go down as one of the greats, but he has to go back into this rematch now in October. If you look at, like, let's use Lennox Lewis as an example, the 2 fights that he lost to Oliver McCall and Hussein Rahman, he went back over old ground there. He went and done that, and he reversed those losses, and that's why he's remembered as the fighter he is today. You know, Lennox fought everybody, and the people that he did lose to, he went over old ground. And I think that's where Tyson Fury has to follow that track now. I mean, him and Anthony Joshua would still be a huge fight, especially if he reversed it, even if he doesn't.
It's interesting. I mean, obviously, with Lennox, there was the Hussein Rahman fight, and the first loss was all attributed to him being in South Africa filming Ocean's 11, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And being distracted from the fight at a different stage of his career. Do you think that Tyson should have been more aggressive? Is that what you're alluding to?
Definitely.
Towards? Yeah.
I think that I was surprised the way that first bell went and how quickly Oleksandr come out.
But we also said, Spence, didn't we say, I thought we said that don't be surprised if no one throws a punch for the first round and a half.
Well, I thought that might happen for the first 3 rounds.
Right.
You know, I thought it was one of those ones that, because of the magnitude of this fight and with what was on the line,
they're going to look at one another
and the respect that they both have for each other, there will be a lot of looking at each other. They're both technical fighters, so there'll be like a lot of trying to create openings and no one really wanting to engage. But how wrong could we have been? Yeah. Oleksandr Usyk come flying out the traps, and he set the pace, and Tyson didn't respond. Yeah. And then after 4 rounds, he thought, hold a minute, I've got to do something here. He did respond, and that's where he was getting his success. And he hurt Usyk a few times as well. Credit to Oleksandr Usyk, he bit down, he come back, he shook it off, and he kept his shape, and he got back into the fight and turned it around in the last quarter. But yeah, I think that Tyson Fury just approached, I think he was surprised by the approach of Oleksandr Usyk going into the second fight. It would obviously be totally different because he's thinking now, hold a minute, I didn't think this little guy, the guy that he calls a middleweight, I didn't think he's going to come at me like Mike Tyson, come flying out the traps and set a big pace. And I think that was surprised Tyson Fury, and it took him a few rounds to get into it and adjust to that.
How do you think he'll react to it? I'm going to talk about his post-fight observations in a second, but how do you think Fury, that's made so much noise in recent times, you know, called him a rabbit, run rabbit, talked about the fact that he's a pumped-up cruiserweight and he was a middleweight and the gap-tooth Wally or whatever else he called him, and has gone in there and nearly got knocked out by him. How do you think Fury will respond to this now as he sits there looking at the situation? Is it just a case of, I've got a big bag of money and I'm the winner anyway?
No, I don't think it is that. I think it's a little bit more than that with Tyson Fury. You know, we know the mental health problems he has outside of boxing, and I think boxing keeps him on track, if you like, in life. I think that boxing's a big part of his life, and Tyson Fury without boxing would be a problem for him right now. So I think
that's going to be an eventuality at some point.
Yeah, it is, but I think that only when he feels that he's fulfilled what he wants to do. I don't think that this was going to ever be the last fight for Tyson Fury anyway, win or lose. So I think that now he'll be looking at it going, right, I now need to, that may have stoked the fire even more. I then now need to reverse that. I know what I've got to do, and I didn't do it. You know, I think that you just touched on it there. You were talking about him, you know, the build up to it, calling him a middleweight and run rabbit. I think Tyson Fury truly believed that he was going to try and nick it on the outside like we did, and he would get in there, and if he could get past the long reach of Fury, let the combinations go, foot movement was going to be key, and that may be the difference for Oleksandr Usyk if he's going to win it. Well, no, actually, he took the fight to Fury, put him on the back foot, didn't worry about the distance, he closed the gap, he kept his front lead foot on the outside of Tyson Fury. That's why he was getting success with that backhand, that left hand, because he was controlling the space so well. Like, even though Fury was on the back foot, he was the dominant force in there, which surprised Tyson. I think that was the difference. And I think for Tyson, he will look at that. He's got a team around him. They'll look at that and go, right, this is what we need to do. He has to make that a different fight.
But he says that the team around him were telling him he was winning that fight.
Yeah, but that's crazy.
So we're talking about a team around him that are looking at things. That
No, I said what they would look at is after this performance, they would go back, look at the tapes and go, right, this is what needs to be done. What I'm saying is he's got a good team around him, Andy Lee, Sugar Hill and all those. I know those people. Tacticians, they're very, very good. They know how to read a fight. They will look at that and go, right, Tyson, this is where you went wrong. This is where you went right. This is what we need to do next time. They can make them adjustments, is what I'm saying. The team on the night, which were the people that I've just mentioned, Andy Lee, Sugar Hill and his dad and everyone else, when you've got 3 people screaming instructions and you're in the corner and you've just picked yourself up off the floor and you're in this sort of panic mode, you need one person, lead instructor, talking to you. When you've got voices coming from everywhere, that's not a good place to be.
And that's fine. But John was in his corner, not just from the 9th round on, was he?
No, it was the whole fight.
He was in the fight, in the corner, telling him things to do certain things.
That has to change.
But is that something that's happened in the past?
No, not that I can recall.
So I'm surprised Sugar Hill Stewart would have allowed it.
Well, I think it's just in the moment. I think it's just when something happens. Obviously, Sugar Hill's job is to try and get Tyson Fury right. I'm trying to focus on him, so I can't be focusing on the old man jumping over there.
No, my question was, does John appear in the corner in other Tyson Fury fights? So he's appeared in the corner for the duration of this fight, and has now appeared in the corner, becoming vociferous. Yeah, and
he was brought into camp though to help Tyson Fury on this fight for reasons only they know. If I'm totally honest, that's something that I can't comment on because I don't know why he was brought in for this fight and this fight only. I don't know what the connection with that was. I don't know what the benefits for that were. But it was definitely not a benefit on the night because all the voices being screamed at you, that causes panic in a corner. And when you're in a moment where you're in a little bit of panic anyway, you're in a crisis, you go, you need calm. You need calm. You go, right, this bam. You need focus and you need instruction. You can't get that when you're getting voices coming from everywhere.
So let me get this right. I just want to make sure that I clearly understand what you're saying. You don't think that Tyson Fury's disposition and demeanour during a strange set of engagements with the media and Usyk, where he wouldn't look at him and he didn't want to say very much, is anything other than supreme confidence that he can overcome this guy? Doesn't rate him.
Well, no.
To me, it looks like someone that's phased and concerned and aware of them and not prepared to engage. Sure. And only engage at the weigh-in, because if I don't engage and make a big song and dance out of it, it's going to look like I'm really phased by this.
Yeah, what I was reading into it, Simon, sorry, like if you misunderstood that, what I'm saying is that the whole time I'm reading to Tyson Fury, which he does so well with all of his opponents, is he was trying to play mind games with Oleksandr Usyk that ended up going back on him. So that whole thing where he wasn't looking at him and everything else, he's just trying different situations. That was nothing to do with him having lack of confidence at this time or whatever, or lack of self-belief. That was all about him trying to get inside the head of Oleksandr Usyk. That was all the mind games in the build-up to the fight. And that trust me on that one, that's what it was. And he was trying everything.
Menace in the ring when he's looking. I mean, there was no doubt. Again, I've made this point, but I want to make it again.
Yeah.
When I'm looking at him, look across the ring, Usyk, when I look across Wilder, it was a look of absolutely maniacal hatred and you're going to get it and it's coming your way. Yeah. When I looked at Fury, look across the ring at Usyk, I saw none of that.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that was. Yeah. And that to me then explains the manner in which Fury fights for a period of time until he has to wake up. Yeah. Until he has to get himself, this fight's getting away from me. I'm only three rounds into it. Yeah. And that's a state of mind. And that state of mind, you're potentially subscribing to the view that was him believing that he's better than this fighter. Yeah. He hasn't been able to get in this fighter's head, but still believes that this guy ain't going to be what other people are saying.
Yeah, I truly believe that he felt that. Yeah, 100%. And I think that, and I truly believe, Simon, that is all down to really his size. Not saying that he respected Oleksandr Usyk as a fighter and his boxing ability and his capabilities, but I just think that he felt that he was the bigger man, and he go, if this fight's getting tough at any point, I'll turn it around. But actually, Usyk was the one that was controlling it all.
But it's an observation that some people could make, that this is now 2 fights in a row where potentially he could be considered to have been complacent.
Definitely.
He's underestimated Ngannou because he thinks he can dance his way through that one with no problems. There's only just got to turn up. But he knew he didn't have to turn up because obviously by the very nature of the fact he's lost a lot of weight, got himself into a condition that we hadn't seen him in for some time. So it's 2 fights that he and his camp have presided over. And one of them, some would argue he lost against Ngannou and got away with.
I thought he lost,
And the other one, he categorically lost. So it says a lot about Fury's mentality.
And where he's at right now.
And the people that he's working with as well.
Listen, it's all about lifestyle as well, Simon. It is all about lifestyle. And forget Oleksandr Usyk's 37, he's 35. Tyson Fury's a really checkered past. You have a look at that. He's had his problems outside of the ring. We've seen his weight fluctuating up and down. We've seen him drinking a lot. Alcohol's been a big part of that as well.
Not recently.
No. But what I'm saying is that it takes a toll on its body at some point in a fighter's life. Like, he's been fighting a long time, and you just look at those last couple of performances and go, are the cracks starting to appear now? The answers will be yes, because the last couple of performances have not been the Tyson Fury we've seen at his peak. Whereas Oleksandr Usyk, going up, becoming an undisputed heavyweight champion as well, but you look at the performance, you go, this guy seems to be getting better. You know, Artur Beterbiev's a great one to look at like that. You go, he's 40 years of age, and you look at him and you go, when's this guy's going to slow down? But if you knew his life outside of boxing, the guy eats so clean, he lives so well, drinks water, like do you know what I mean? He doesn't live that life, and I think that you get longevity in a career when you've looked after your body the whole time. You can't just do it in 2 months and go, right, you know, I'm alcohol free now, 2 months, I've been eating good food. That doesn't, do you understand what I'm saying? What I'm saying is, at the twilight of their careers, which they are now, 35, 37 respectively, you look at that and you go, that could be now starting to take its toll on Tyson Fury, you know, at this stage. It was still a great performance. The guy put in a great performance because that's what made it such a fantastic fight, a memorable fight. But you just go, is it the fact
Well, he put in a great performance, let's have it right, because he withstood something in the 9th round that most people suggested they couldn't withstand, and then came back and got himself back into the last 3 rounds. Yeah. But a great performance is Tyson Fury doing what you and I expected him to have done, which was dominate the fight from the first round and make Oleksandr Usyk look like a smaller fighter and take advantage of that opportunity of the bigger physical frame and strength, and he didn't. What do you make of his observations after the fight? I mean, a lot of people will relate them to the outburst that Anthony Joshua had, and there was a lot of criticism. I was critical of Anthony about coming back into the ring. Difference between Anthony and Tyson was that Anthony went out of the ring and then came back and took belts and told everyone what he thought about the maligning of him. Whereas Tyson came out with a rather ungracious observation about there's a whole raft of people supporting him because his country's at war. I mean, he's rode back from that, and Frank did a good job in the press conference of managing that. I don't think it's fair, probably, in retrospect, to judge either Joshua or Fury by an outburst directly when a microphone shoved in their face instantaneously after a fight and that they've lost.
Emotions run high, like concussion plays a big part of that as well. You look what he went through in that ninth, not just the 9th round, in the whole 12 rounds. You go and you put a microphone in a guy's face, you ask him a question, he's bound to come out with something like Anthony Joshua did. I didn't read too much into it. I was asked that question this morning in an interview this morning as well, and I said, look, you can't read too much into that because he's just going to blurt stuff. He's not really, his senses are not really with him at that stage. He's come out with something that's really stupid. He's probably going to apologise for that because I think it was...
Well, he did. Frank did.
Yeah, well...
Because Frank's wise.
Yeah, I just think...
to realise that that's a bad look.
Exactly. It's a terrible thing to say.
If your mind's together enough, in fairness, to be able to make that observation, then you are thinking a certain way. The only thing I would say is, in fairness to him, when you talk about people being supportive, the argument that was run in Poland when Usyk was fighting Daniel Dubois was the entire auditorium, and the feeling of the world was behind Oleksandr Usyk because of the situation his country finds itself in. So it's not beyond the realms of a possibility that Tyson Fury can equate that as some form of bias. So we can't have it both ways. But it wouldn't have affected the judges' scoring. To my mind,
the judges were very, very kind to Tyson Fury.
No, I think it should have been unanimous decision.
Oh, absolutely,
not a split decision.
I've gone like 116, 112. I go like, you know, I've got that as a conclusive victory. And if one judge went 115, 112, you go, yeah, I can take that. Even if you go like 114, 113, you go, that's too tight for me. You know, I see that as too tight, but the right man's got it still. To go 114, 113 the other way, I go, no, I don't see that. Didn't see that.
Do you think he fights? Do you think he takes a rematch?
I think he does. I think he does. Where else does he go? Well, you know, I think that ego will play a big part of that. Tyson Fury's always talked about being not just the greatest of the modern era, but one of the greatest of all time. He has to take the rematch. Look at what Lennox Lewis done. He done that. Lennox Lewis went straight back into the lion's den. He has to do that, Tyson Fury, if he wants to be remembered as an all-time great.
What do you make of the observations that both myself and Johnny Nelson have made? Johnny has gone hard as well. I wrote an article last week in the Mail about the people getting a bit tired of Tyson and tired of the people around him and tired of some of the outbursts and some of the thuggish sort of loutish outlook. If Tyson, if you say something about Tyson that he likes, you're his mate. If you say something about him that he doesn't agree with, then you're abused and given a whole load of thuggish analysis. Then you've seen his father last week. Then you saw Johnny going in behind on it, just saying, I'm I'm fed up with this now.
Yeah.
Fed up with the way this group of people behave. I'm fed up with Tyson Fury. I made the observation that Tyson Fury is a British heavyweight champion and the nation should be supporting him.
Yep.
And I got the impression from talking to lots of people that they weren't, that there was a general antipathy towards Tyson. And Frank came back and said, I don't know what you're talking about. You know, he sells out these
I saw that interview. I saw that
Frank,
interview.
people that Jake Paul sells out an arena. Does that make him worth something? Does it?
Yeah.
To people? And people read books from people that they don't actually like because they want to see things that they don't know.
Yeah.
But do you think that in any shape or form will play a part in Tyson wanting to correct people's thinking about what he is? Because when you see Tyson Fury, when he's on best form, he's a charismatic, enigmatic superstar. What we've seen over the last 12 months is a foul-mouthed, abusive person whose camp are just as bad, his management team are unpleasant, and that people are developing a sort of attitude that I don't think should be relational to the heavyweight champion of the world. It wasn't like that with Lennox Lewis.
No.
People said, well, maybe he's a Canadian when he loses and he's British when he wins.
Yeah.
But there is an underlying feeling that, you know, all right, Tyson, stay in Saudi then. If you're loved so much in Saudi and you shouldn't have to queue at airports
comments.
and you shouldn't have to pay tax or whatever else you said.
Yeah, listen, stupid comments. I think that we're going to find that out right now because this is Tyson Fury's chance, his opportunity now, and his chance to, you know, go out there and correct
And
all
redeem
that.
himself.
And redeem himself.
But are
Exactly
me and Johnny Nelson right
100%.
about this attitude?
Absolutely. I think that people, Simon, you've only got to go out there and speak to people like you have, and you speak to the general public and ask them their views on Tyson Fury. And he's gone from that where they used to love him so much to now being bored and, you know, slightly bored of the whole razzmatazz of jumping around and calling everyone a sausage. People, like, after a while, you go, it started off funny, but now it's becoming a little bit too insulting. You go, no, in the build up to this one, the slagging off that he was giving Oleksandr Usyk, you go, show this man some respect. You've got to put a little bit of respect on his name. You know, we're going in there. I get the whole entertainment side of it, and fights have got to be sold, but there's a way about going around doing that. Now it's all about, let's see how Tyson Fury comes back, how, like you say, it's a little bit of redemption for himself now, because he's got the opportunity to be able to correct that now and win the fans back over, because he's got an inspirational story. Everybody loved the way that he's built himself up, brought himself back, become the heavyweight champion of the world. Everyone loves that story and that journey. Now he's got himself into a position where he has to win those people back a little bit. Whether he gives or not is another matter, and we will find that out, because he probably doesn't. He's talked about that a lot in interviews, which is, I don't really care what people think or whatever, but now we will actually find out, because he's got that chance now.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think that on the final part of this part about Fury and the Usyk and where Fury goes next, do you think, what do you think if Fury fights AJ? What kind of impact was this outcome? And do you think Fury takes a rematch next, or has a fight in between?
No, I'll tell you why. Because the vacant title is not, that IBF title has now been vacated.
Yeah, we know that.
Yeah,
but they're not fighting undisputed again. I'm talking about the rematch.
No, yeah,
the rematch between Fury and Usyk. Before I get into I asked you a question. I'm going to pay it back.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you where you was going with that. Yeah. That's what. So you're going, does the immediate rematch happen? I say, yeah, it does. And I'll tell you why I think the rematch happens is because I think now, if the rematch didn't happen, it was obviously going to be Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua. That was the fight that would make sense. Winner of that then boxes Oleksandr Usyk again. That's the way you sort of see it going. Yeah. But because the IBF has now become vacated, and we're going to get Daniel Dubois, Filip Hrgovic, June the 1st, fighting for that IBF title. The winner of that will fight Anthony Joshua for the IBF. And so that's Anthony Joshua's route now, that he's going to go, he'll stay there.
Yeah, I realise that, yeah. No, I understood that. But what I was more asking was, do you think that Fury goes straight back into a rematch with Usyk, and doesn't have another fight in the middle of it?
No,
I'm
not
just
at this
curious
stage.
to get some confidence back.
No, it's not a fact of confidence. I think he went in there. Look, he put up a great war. It was not a one-sided beatdown. It was like one of those that Oleksandr Usyk for us was the clear winner, but Fury played his part in an unbelievable fight, a memorable fight, a fight that will go down, as a great fight. So will he go back into the rematch? Yeah, why not? His confidence hasn't been damaged. He's got to do the adjustments now. I don't think
his confidence would have been damaged.
No, definitely not. No? His confidence wouldn't have been damaged from that. Definitely not. Yeah, absolutely. Look, he's lost the fight, but it was a very competitive fight. I think now it's about Fury. That might have stoked his fire a little bit more. That made him that hunger that I was talking about. Maybe that was what's been missing out of it. Not the underestimating the fighters or whatever, but maybe just a little bit of hunger's left.
Yeah,
Fury.
I wouldn't put it past Fury. I wouldn't put it past Fury to come back and redeem himself.
Yeah.
And I would like to see, despite my observations on Fury, I would like to see him come back and be the person that I saw being charismatic and enigmatic and entertaining and get everybody at it, rather than this boorish sort of loutish behaviour that seems to have pervaded him over the last 12 months and those that are around him. He needs some good voices in his ear, not a bunch of sycophants that are living off the back of him.
I agree.
I hope that changes for him. Anyway, on the undercards, we saw another interesting fight. Another one that had expectation upon it because there's so much, not hype, but so much noise around Jai Opetaia.
Yeah.
In the rematch with Marius Briedis, right?
Yeah, it went pretty much the same as the first fight. If I'm totally honest,
I think it was hard. I think. Well, no, actually, no. I don't think it was hard. I think it was. You're right. It was.
The pattern was the same. It was just like watching a repeat of the first fight, where you go, Opetaia started very well, and you go, right, he's getting into a nice little rhythm, but then you're thinking he's going to stop Briedis at some point here. Briedis has been out of the ring for 2 years since that last fight. He's had his problems, like we've seen Opetaia. He's had two good victories, all right, albeit at a lower level. But that would have gave him the confidence that he needed, like the confidence in his broken jaw from the first fight. So you just looked at it and go, where they're sat right now with Briedis being 39 years of age, been inactive for 2 years, last fight against Opetaia, I was in the camp where we go, Opetaia stops him mid rounds. I went, but Briedis showed what a great fighter he is. And actually, I go, he's a great opponent. Well, he's actually become the chairman of the Who Needs Him, Who Wants Him club now, because no one will go near him unless they have to, because he's got so much fight in him. And he made Opetaia ask questions of himself again. I think for Jai Opetaia, I mean, it's great for him because that will mould him as a fighter as he's coming through. He's still a young man. Got his belt back, but he had to ask himself questions again. It was a tough fight. Opetaia showed character. Briedis showed us what a great champion he has been and that he could still be.
Did he show us character, or did he show us that he's not quite what we thought he was? Because you and I thought that given the passage of time, and with due respect to Jai, fighting Elizoro and Jordan Thompson, they weren't at the level that he's at.
Of course.
He blasted them out. He looked fantastic in doing it. But we'd built up this in our mindset that Jai Opetaia is now the ultimate cruiserweight, which I think he probably is in terms of what's around, and we'll talk about what could be around in a second. But he didn't blast Briedis away that we thought he was going to.
He looked like he was going to, though, didn't it? It looked like he was chipping away and he was going to get to him, but Briedis...
He looked confident.
But Marius Briedis is maybe underestimated. You look at when he boxed Oleksandr Usyk, the World Boxing Series,
that was nip and tuck.
Yeah, and it was nip and tuck. It was a tough fight, Briedis there, and he's beat some good opponents along the way, Marco Huck and other names along the way. You look at that and go, he's a decent fighter, but what we saw in Marius Briedis is that there's been no deterioration.
Yep.
There's a guy there that was, a year ago running around getting tattoos of Jake Paul on his arse saying, I want to fight Jake Paul, let's get it on, and you thought he was going to take that direction. And you go, really? What, has the fight left you? But Marius showed that actually there's still a lot of fight left in him. I think what he's done there, though, in losing, he's obviously had to go for that fight because it was for the vacant IBF title, but in losing there, he's put himself in a difficult position because who's going to want to go near him? You're talking about like June the 15th when you got Richard Riakporhe, Chris Smith going over old ground, and we'll get into that. But you look at that and you go, well, the winner of that, where does that go? I know Jai Opetaia wants maybe the winner of that, but you look at that and go, would the winner of that choose Marius Briedis as a voluntary fight or whatever? No one's going to go near him.
So, I mean, Opetaia called out for the winner of Bellew Smith and Riakporhe. I mean, that fight happens on June the 15th. We've looked at potentially believing, although our tips at the moment aren't that great, are they? That Riakporhe is going to be the winner of that. How would you look at either one of those guys? Both of them, we'd be happy if both of them win. Obviously, Richard Riakporhe is a South London boy. I'm very fond of him. I'd like to see him, but I'm also a great admirer of Chris Smith and really pleased that someone like him has got a world title.
Yeah.
But either one of those boys, I've said in the past, I don't think are at Jai Opetaia's level.
No.
Has any of that changed based upon the performance that we saw on the weekend?
No, no, not at all. I just think that Marius Briedis showed that he's still very much at that level. But Jai, I think for Jai, you just look at that and go, that's going to actually mould him and make him a better fighter because at that stage of his career, but he is the monster of the division. He is the guy that you would least want to go for. I think that, Bellew Smith, Richard Riakporhe, they're on that level. They're at that stage. I was at Selhurst Park yesterday, actually. Went down there doing some filming for Boxer. We got to speak to the fans that were around, see who was going to the fight, who wasn't. It's going to be a packed night down there, by the way, because everybody that was there said, yeah, they're coming, they're looking forward to it. Richard Reactboard's really loved down that part.
He is, yeah.
Actually, yeah. So,
well, he comes out to the Palace song, doesn't he?
Yeah, he really is. And I think the atmosphere is going to be absolutely insane there. When you're talking about levels, I go, if I'm managing any of those two guys, I go, I'm only going to want to take that fight when I really, really have to. Like, I think that I would look for the winner of Reactboard versus Chris Williams-Smith. I'd look a different route. I'd be looking to maybe do a couple of defences before you even start thinking about Opetaia, because Opetaia, for me, is the standout of that division right now.
Yeah, I think we all sort of concur with that. What about Anthony Cacace?
Oh, wow, what a performance.
Did you see that coming?
What a performance. I mean, this is a guy that we were talking about, Martin J. Ward, lost to Martin J. Ward back in 2017. He's had 6 wins since then at a much lower level, and you think this guy Cacace, yep, look,
everyone,
British, European level.
Everyone knew he could hit a bit, didn't they?
Yeah, but his record would only suggest that he was like a moderate puncher. But we
Carl
do
Frampton talks about the fact that he did really hit.
He did. And I was with Sonny Edwards. We worked on Saturday together. Sonny said, "Mate, this kid he was so underestimated." Sonny knows him very well, and he said, like, you know, he's much better than at the level he's been competing at, and it's just about him getting opportunity. And boy, did he take that opportunity. That's what boxing's all about.
Did weight play a factor in? Because I mean, Joe's a good fighter, and there was
I think weight did play a factor.
Yeah.
Joe Cordina used to box at lightweight. He dropped down to super featherweight. He's had them great victories. He won the world title in great form. He had a couple of defences. And you looked at it, but I know how hard he must take to make that weight. And I mean, he took some big shots there. I think take nothing away from his opponent, Cacace, because I think that what he done was he dominated a fight. He took it to him, and I think the turning point in the fight was when he got hit on the break with that left hook.
Yeah,
and that shot was the turning point.
I know a lot
but Cacace was like, well, listen, it's the fight game. This is what it is. I was delivering a shot. The referee called break. It landed. Referee calls box. You carry on. And Cacace just went out there and he done what he had to do. I mean, he was like, it reminded me very much, actually. Do you remember when Steve Robinson beat John Davison for the world title with 24 hours notice? He was sort of like a guy that was not recognised as even world class. They boxed for the title. He gets that opportunity. It reminded me, he was a man that night.
It reminded me of Lloyd Hannigan beating Donald Curry.
Just on a mission.
When no one expected it.
And
beat him up and bashed him up.
Defiance.
And that's what Cacace did.
That's what he done.
To Joe Cordina. What about Caballero?
Oh, well, listen, he's the dark horse of the division, right?
No one wants to fight him, do they?
Listen, he's the dark horse of the division. Sanchez was blown away. Like, I thought Caballero, he should nick this. But Sanchez has got, he's a little bit explosive. He might be dangerous. He might catch Caballero as he comes in or whatever. But again, another man on a mission.
Two good results in Saudi. It agrees with him.
Incredible. I mean, where do you rank him? Where do you rank him with the heavyweights? Where would you rank him with the heavyweights right now?
Well, what did they have Sanchez in? Sanchez was ranked 3 in all the divisions, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Well, he just beat him.
Yeah. Yeah, he's knocking on the door.
There's your answer. Who's going to want to fight him?
Yeah, exactly.
No one's going to want that risk-reward return, are they?
No.
So he looked very good against Makhmudov.
Yes.
He's a bloody giant.
A monster.
And Frank Sanchez, was someone I talked about, some of our other fighters perhaps not wanting to fight and being blown away by Caballero. So that's great for him. Yeah. And be interesting to see where he goes next.
Well, he puts himself right in the mix.
We got a big fight coming up at the end of this week. Unfortunately for me, because I've got other pressing engagements, I'm not able to make this fight.
I thought you said you was going.
No, I would love to, but I've got other pressing engagements.
What happened?
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Something I'm really looking forward to. But Taylor Catterall too.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait for it. Listen, I'll say it and I'll say it again. The fight at 140, I think Josh Taylor's made a huge mistake fighting at 140. I thought he should have tried to make it at a catch weight. I think that's where the fight, Catterall said, listen, I'll do it at catch weight. I'll do it at 143. I'll do it at 144. That's where Taylor, for me, would have been benefited. I think 140 is the undoing for victory for Josh Taylor. I think that 140, Jack Catterall wins on points.
How do you think they're both going to approach it? I mean, Josh Taylor needs redemption on this one. He won the first fight. Everyone knows he didn't win the first fight except him.
Yeah.
And he's taken a lot of crow over the last couple of years about ducking the fight. He's listened to Jack step up the ante now. Jack's not the same Jack that fought the first time round, which is, I'm going to listen to you be diminishing of me. Jack's on the front foot. Jack's aggressive, right? Jack's the one that's making the noise about the fight, and Josh is looking like the calm one.
Yeah.
In the first fight, Josh was like, "You're beneath me.
Yeah.
You're beneath me." Now he's got to deal with him in a way that is very different from the first fight. How do you see both guys approaching this fight?
But actually, I think that approach from Josh Taylor has been very good for him, because I think that he sort of lost that respect, and then after the fight, when he was talking about the way he was in the build-up and the disrespect for Jack Catterall, and you're not on my level, I'm the undisputed champion, I'm mixing at this level, you're down here, you shouldn't be getting the opportunity, you should be grateful you're getting the opportunity. Then the fight unfolds, Jack Catterall wins it 9 rounds to 3, and he still continued like that a little bit, and he showed like, no, listen, I thought I won the fight, which was doing him no favours. This new approach, where he's now being a little bit more respectful and a little bit more, is quite warming actually. And I think he's done himself a lot of favours like that, because he's now basically saying, I'll do my talking in the ring. And so, like, I think it's done him a big favour. You know, maybe there's a lesson there for Tyson Fury to look at that and look at his approach and go, you know what? Actually, because I've interviewed him a couple of times in here since Josh Taylor, just a couple of weeks ago, and you speak to him, you go, that's the kid that he should be. That's the one that people will warm to. That's the one that people will like.
But it's not going to be that wins him the fight, though, is it?
No, but it's not. No, that's not a question of his ability in the ring. I go, listen, you know, your ability in the ring is what it is. I just think he's made a big mistake making it at 140. I truly believe it's Jack Catterall's fight at 140. How will the fight unfold? Josh Taylor will go forward. He'll be trying to push. He'll be trying to do it. Jack Catterall's a great counter puncher. He'll be circulating around the perimeter of the ring, nicking the shots, throwing the clusters of punches. And for me, I think he'll run out at points victor.
If Josh Taylor is anything vaguely resembling what he was prior to the first Catterall fight, prior to the loss against Teofimo Lopez, I think that he'll beat Catterall. I think that Josh Taylor, we were talking about pound for pound, one of the best fighters in the world. We're now making the argument that he doesn't make himself, and we're making it for him, or you are, that he's only really fighting at 140 because he can't face the prospect of having to fight at a different weight that gives people the opportunity to say, you didn't fight him at 140. He's adamant, Josh, that he's capable of making this weight. He's putting performances down to Teofimo Lopez, down to a bad night's work. He thinks
the one against Catterall.
And he thinks he won the first fight against Catterall. So
no, but it was a bad performance.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you look at it and go, mate, you're going back now to 2022. We're 2 years on.
Well, we'll see.
You were struggling then. But yeah, we will. So
it's going to be a hell of an
atmosphere. It's a great fight. And it's a great fight.
These are two fantastic fighters. These are the fights that these Isles throw out in terms of the British Isles, where you've got people that bring out these rivalries.
Yeah.
And the boxing public gets invested in them, gets involved in them. It's going to be a hell of a fight.
It really is.
I'm going to pick Taylor. You're going to pick Catterall.
You're not going, are you?
No, I'm not going. You know,
why are you going? What's wrong?
I've got other things that I'm wanting to do.
Okay.
Right? But of course, the alternative, I could spend some time with you. So I'd probably go for
I'll be in Poland, mate.
Unfortunately,
I'm over in Poland.
Yes, going to ask you about that.
Yeah.
We've got Rozanksi versus Lawrence Okolie.
Yeah.
Joe Gallagher's new charge. Joe Gallagher said, coming in the studio, I can't have the same from Lawrence as had before. If I'm going to get the same as that, I didn't want it. Yeah. So we're expecting to see a more aggressive, a more dynamic Lawrence Okolie, bridgerweight. Yeah. Interesting class. What are you expecting?
What am I expecting? Or I'm hoping Lawrence Okolie's not more aggressive, that's for sure. I'm hoping that he actually uses, I hope he's got that self-confidence and he uses those attributes and lets Rozanski come on to him, because like Lucas Rozanski is one of those guys, you look at it, 15-0, 14 KOs, never been past 4 rounds. He's just an absolute wrecking ball. Like when I was out there last time when he boxed Alan Babic, who fights similar, he went out there and you go, this guy is so determined that he just pushed for it. He's so strong. You just go, for Lawrence, make this fight easy by using your height, using your reach, using your boxing skill. Let him come on. When he gets inside, tie him up, but do not get too confident and go, right, I want to find this newfound confidence where I'm going to be pushing forward, because that's not the way to beat Rozanski. If he does that and holds his feet, he's in trouble. I think this could be a fight that he could make quite easy if he boxes right. And I think Joe Gallagher's a great technician, and he will recognise that. Joe's a great judge of character, judge of how the fight's going to go. And I think that, I think they can get it right.
I think Lawrence is accused of being boring and negative in recent fights. Wasn't he?
Well, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So how do you square that circle then with Joe Gallagher saying, I don't want more of the same? And you're saying, well...
No, let him come. No, what I'm saying is he ain't going to have to look for... Rozanski will come out of that corner like a greyhound. He will shoot out. Like, this guy virtually run... There's no boxing finesse about this guy. Right. He is just... he's the guy that you see... that like he's like having a bar brawl. It's like one of those. It's just a tear-up. There's no technical ability about anything he does. Don't get involved in them people, because they make it look really bad. I'd just say, Lawrence, let him come on, and as he comes on, you've got to drill those shots through. So what am I expecting?
A knockout or a points victory for
Lawrence? I don't think this fight goes points, 100%. I don't see it going points.
So you think Lawrence wins?
I'm going to go with Lawrence. I think the extra finesse of Lawrence Okolie will see him home. I think that Rozanksi will run onto one. Rozanski is very, very reckless, very square, and I think he can run onto one.
Last chance saloon for Lawrence, isn't it? I mean,
absolutely.
If he doesn't win in this weight class, because his argument to us was, I'm going to go, cruiserweights I'm finding difficult to make that weight, I'm going to move up now, and if I go into the bridgerweights and I then win that world title, I'm a two-time, two-weight class.
I think it's a smart move from Okolie as opposed to jumping up to heavyweight. Like Okolie with that added...
If you take bridgerweight that seriously.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think that, look, he becomes a two-weight world champion. You know, it was a new weight designed from the WBC.
Yeah, I know what it is. And so
Bridger Walker, you know about the kid that saved his sister with a dog and whatnot. So, look, I think it's just a great opportunity and a stepping stone before he goes up to heavyweight. Lawrence Okolie, the stories coming out of the gym with Lawrence Okolie sparring the heavyweights when he's much bigger, because he's much bigger now even, he's going to have to drop a lot to get down to Bridgerweight. But when he's much bigger, he holds his own. He does very well against very good heavyweight prospects.
I like Lawrence in the same way.
Who do you pick in that one, by the way?
I can't see past Okolie, but that's perhaps because I don't know enough about Rozanski in terms of the quality that he brings.
He's just reckless. He's
just a wrecking ball. I've seen a couple of his fights, but I haven't seen enough to go well. Actually, Lawrence, I would have picked Lawrence to beat Chris Smith.
Yeah.
So to me, it depends what version of Lawrence turns up, how wise he is.
See what he's got.
And see what he's got left.
Yeah.
Right. That's it for the...
Are you going to any of the fights of the weekend?
No, I'm not going to any of the fights of the weekend. That's it for the Tyson Fury Rehabilitation Squad. And we'll see you next time we're out.